So Hillary Clinton may have won big in New York last night, but Bernie Sanders insists that he is not going anywhere. A spokesman for the campaign plans to spend the summer persuading Clinton's superdelegates to flip on her and to join them. But Fox News contributor Joe Trippi says that is most likely a waste of time.
There will be a lot of pressure for him to pull back. I think one of the things that hurt him in New York was his tone. I mean, one of the things that's seems to be going on is the more he ratchets up and gets negative to try to take her on and knock votes away from her, he actually performs worse, which even makes it tougher now for him to overcome this, because now he's got to even ratchet it up more.
Here now with us, Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the chairwoman of the DNC. Good to have you with us this morning. Thanks for being
Martha. Great
here.
To be with you. Sure.
What about Bernie Sanders? Do you think that he should get out? Is it time for him to go?
No, I mean, we have 19 more primaries from between now and June 7th, and there is a lot of this contest left, although we are getting to the narrow end of the funnel. And so, you know, I mean, it's going to get a little more intense. The candidates are going to kind of, you know, push hard and go for broke. But we've had a very robust and substantive discussion about the issues that are important to Americans, and our candidates have done a great job, particularly in contrast to the way the Republican race has played out, laying out their vision for the country and how they would help people reach the middle class and build on the success we've had under President Obama. So what I am hopeful that they continue to do is to make sure that we stick to the issues and that we continue to lay out for Americans why it's so important that we elect one of these two candidates as the 45th President of the United States and not get any more intense or divisive.
I hear what you're saying, and it sounds like Joe Trippi was on the same page. It did get nasty in the New York race, and Bernie Sanders questioned whether or not Hillary Clinton was qualified to be president of the United States. He also started to raise questions about corruption issues that he thought were underlying. He talked about how much she made off of the Wall Street speeches, and he exhorted her to turn over the text of those speeches. Are you calling for him to stop that line of attack?
You know, like I said, I'm actually proud of the way this campaign has played out at each of our debates, and throughout the entire primary, our candidates have talked about the issues important to Americans, about how to continue to create jobs and build on our economic success and create more opportunities for people to succeed, and expand access to health care and not repeal it like Republicans have. And compared to what's going on the other side of the aisle, where chaos is reigning and they're talking about the size of people's hands, and their very likely nominee, Donald Trump, has alienated just about every demographic group and suggested we should deport 11 million people and declared an entire ethnicity in Mexicans, rapists, and drug dealers who immigrate to this country, suggested we should restart nuclear proliferation, even in Europe. So the contrast is pretty clear, and I think we need to make sure that our candidates continue that, and I'm confident they will.
One of the things that's gotten so much attention is the process, the nominating process, and I don't think that's ever happened, certainly not in my lifetime, where people look at it and they say, what's going on with these superdelegates? How come there are people who are positioned in these states who get to vote for whomever they like, regardless of who wins the vote in that state? Is that a process that you would like to see changed in the Democratic Party?
Well, Martha, let me just take you back down memory lane into 2008. This is not the first time that we have had, concerns raised over process.
But it's at a new level now. I mean, I think it's at a level now in the American consciousness, because
Martha,
you're hearing it on the Republican side as well, that there is going to be pressure for people to continue to really change this system. So I'm just asking, do you want to change it?
Give me a chance to answer your question. Okay, give me a chance to answer your question, because in 2008 it actually got to be such a concern as far as the influence of superdelegates that we created a change commission after the 2008 election that looked at the percentage of superdelegates that we have compared to our total, and they voted to reduce, they recommended that the DNC reduce the percentage of superdelegates, which we did, from 20% down to 15%. So we've actually had this debate. The Democratic National Committee made a decision that we wanted to shrink their influence, but still make sure that party leaders and other elected officials had an important role in participating in who ultimately is our nominee, but that the overwhelming majority, as those pledged delegates have consistently chosen our nominee, and that's what we that's what we expect, will likely continue to happen.
All right. When you look at these candidates, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton both have very high unfavorable ratings. Hillary's at 55%. Donald Trump's numbers are north of there, 65% in some of what we've seen. Ed Henry was just on a few minutes ago talking about the fact that 20% of independent voters have a negative view of Hillary Clinton. If she turns out to be your nominee, does that concern you? And how do you turn those numbers around?
Well, I think the most important numbers that are critical to look at are enthusiasm. And if you look at the numbers coming out of Wisconsin comparatively, our candidates compared to theirs, and New York yesterday, the Wisconsin numbers, 7 in 10 voters coming out of Wisconsin said that they were enthusiastic on our side about voting for either one of our candidates, and you had 4 in 10 say the same about the Republican candidates. In New York, also, again, 7 in 10 thought that the primary actually energized Democratic voters and that it was a positive result.
We reported on that last night, looking at I'm sorry to
less than 40% thought that on the Republican side.
Better enthusiasm on your side about the candidates that they have to pick from, no doubt. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, thank you very much. Good to have you here today.
Thanks, Martha.